a lot of things to do in my life. I usually try to do a lot of things on a daily basis, but I think doing a lot of things uh, too on a daily basis is not a very good thing, because it seems to be productive. That is something that I've learned lately, and I'm still learning, because I have not assimilated it completely in my head. Because our actions change only when we understand something properly and realize it. When we properly assimilate that learning, not just information but that learning, so that it becomes a part of us. And if a good learning becomes a part of us, it changes our actions, because now that realization hits that, okay, now this thing is extremely important. And once we actually realize that something is extremely important, then only our actions are inclined with that particular thought, with that particular understanding. And when our actions change, the outcomes are bound to change. Right. So yeah, I was talking about what have I learned lately. What was I talking about? I forgot the topic, because I went in the detail, you know, to explain this thing, to explain the principle, or to explain this understanding. I forgot the main thing. And it was a very important point. This has become a kind of habit of me, since a long time, since last many months, or maybe a year or two at least, that I whenever I try speaking, or whenever I start speaking about something, and I go into the details, so sometimes I forget what actually I was talking about. I forget the topic itself, just because I go into the details. So I forget the overall view, the main picture of that thing. If I take a lot of time, definitely it will be a big pause in this video. And because I don't edit these videos, they're completely raw videos, so definitely there will be some blank space, some long pause, and you might feel bored. But if I really have to think, if I really have to try to recall what I was talking about, then I will definitely have to take that pause. Okay, I'm taking that pause no matter what happens, because that topic was very important. If I get to watch this video again from the beginning, then of course I'll get that thing in my mind, because I'll be listening to myself again. But now I just completely forgotten it. Shit! It was a very important topic. I was talking about something like, when we understand something deeply, then only our actions change. I'm also trying to learn something that I talked initially in this video. What was that thing that I'm trying to learn, and it is still kind of in a process? What was that thing? Yeah, shit. I really wanted to talk about that thing in this video. I completely lost it. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I will do a bit of editing in this video. I will merge these two clips. For now, I'm just stopping this clip, stopping recording this clip, and I will again start this video after listening to my own, so that I recall what exactly I was talking about. Yeah, so I just saw that video and I can got the point. Now I don't want to go into detail, otherwise I'll forget it. Yeah, so I was talking about what? I was talking about this thing that we should not, I mean, when we do a lot of things, we start feeling like we are productive. But just because we are doing a lot of things on a daily basis doesn't mean we are actually productive, doesn't mean we are actually achieving a lot. Just because we are doing a lot doesn't mean we are achieving a lot. These two are absolutely different things. If you see a laborer, A laborer does a lot of work, a lot of physical work. Of course, not that mental work, but a lot of physical work is there. They are active physically for at least 10 hours, 12 hours, even 15, 16 hours sometimes. So they are highly productive in terms of physicality. They are definitely highly productive. There are then come some people who are mentally very occupied, so they feel like they have done a lot of things. The biggest example can be, a most common example can be the employees who work in companies. Right? So basically they do a lot of, most of the work is mental only. They are not doing something physical. They are not laborers, they are employees, and they are generally given a lot of work, and they are occupied for 9 hours or 10 hours or even 12 hours on an everyday basis, and most of the time they must be thinking or feeling like they are very productive, but they are not, because productivity at the end of the day means what actually you brought out in this world, what was the actual outcome, right? Doesn't matter how much of time you spend in front of this laptop, no matter how much time you spend on your desktop, on your desk, right? You might be spending 12 hours, but still producing something that was maybe worth just 1 hour. And not just in terms of time, but maybe your productivity was like maybe you just wrote, for an example, you just wrote a very basic story, and you spent somewhere around 10 to 12 hours. Let's say you are a writer, and you spent somewhere around 10 to 12 hours on writing a story, and it was a very basic story, just a 2 to 3 page of story, which could easily be generated using ChatGPT in what, in maybe 10 seconds, and a much better story than that, than the one you wrote. So where this 10 to 12 hours went by? In almost nothing, when a better story, or at least a similar story, can be generated using ChatGPT in just 10 seconds or hardly a minute. I'm being on the conservative side, that I'm talking about a 1 minute thing. We all know how fast ChatGPT can generate things. It takes seconds only. So that's what I'm talking about. So doing a lot of things is not something that is a very important thing. The main thing is output. What actually did we do, or what actually are we doing? What actually are we doing? Is it really contributing to our life really well? Is it making our life easier? Is it increasing the comfort in our life? Is it making us happier and healthier? Is it bringing some good change for us and for our family and for our loved ones? That is the main productivity measure, and I think it should be. If I'm doing a lot of things, but still my life is chaotic, my relations are chaotic, I'm not able to bring anything good to my family, I'm not able to bring anything good to myself, I'm not happy, my family is not happy, my loved ones are not happy, we are not enjoying life, we are kind of suffering in life, or we are struggling in life, but on paper I'm doing a lot of things, on paper I'm spending a lot of time. What is the use of doing all that shit? I'm really sorry for using this word, but it just happened. Spontaneously, it was kind of spontaneous effect. I'm really very sorry. Sometimes I talk like this. It also depends on the consumption. Sometimes we consume a lot of these kind of things, so it eventually comes out of our mouth in this only. So I hope you got the idea. It doesn't matter how much time we spend in doing something. We might feel productive, but if at the end of the day it's not contributing to our happiness, to our health, to our relations, to the society also, in the positive terms, then we are not doing anything. This is something that I've realized, and I'm glad I realized, because now I try to do things that actually bring something that is valuable to our life. Even if I'm working for 1 hour, but what I'm getting contributes to my well-being, to my health, to my relationships, right? Everything becomes better, everything becomes good. Then only that effort matters. Even that 1 hour of effort matters. But if all my efforts don't bring any damn thing, any damn valuable thing to my life, then even 12 hours or 16 hours spent on a daily basis is worth nothing. And of course, it's quite common sense. It's a very basic thing. It's quite nothing. So there are a lot of things, as I mentioned, to do, but I try to apply this 80-20 principle, wherein 20% of our efforts bring 80% of the results. It simply means that the remaining 80% of the efforts that we put bring only the 20% of the remaining things. So if let's say it's a very strong principle. If let's say we want a kind of output in any damn thing, whatever we are doing, we want an output where 70 to 80% of the accuracy is very good to go. 70 to 80% of the accuracy is very good to go. Let's say if I'm doing some work, let me give a very basic example to understand it better. Let's say there is a child, and the parents have told that child, or whatever the scenario may be, that okay, even if you get 70% of marks or 75% of marks, you are good to go. We are gonna bring you some gift or any damn thing, and we will consider you very good. It will be very good even if you get 75% of marks. Now that thing is there in the head of the child, and applying this 80-20 principle, that child just needs to cover 20% of the syllabus, 20% of the right syllabus. If that child covers 20% of the right syllabus, that of course what is the right syllabus, that you will have to figure out. I can't say this because it's a general principle that applies on every damn thing, that 80% of the results are brought by 20% of the efforts. That's the main thing that I'm trying to convey. So if that child covers 20% of the main syllabus that is actually required and responsible for 80% of the marks, imagine, with just 20% of efforts and 20% of time spent, that child is now able to easily get 75 to 80% of marks, because that child has now prepared for 80% of marks. And if he has genuinely and with all his focus and everything, he has prepared for 80% of marks, he can easily get 70 to 75% of marks, and his parents will be like, bang on, bingo, you're good, you're very good to go, with just 20% of the efforts. Imagine what all that child can do in that remaining 80% of the time, which he otherwise would have spent, which generally happens. I was never aware of this thing, when I was small. I always tried to cover, I don't know how much of the syllabus, and I was always very clueless that, sometimes, although I was not a very studious student, to be very honest, but even when I got serious, to study and stuff like that, so, I studied a lot, but still, I used to get very average marks, sometimes even below average marks. With I know how much effort I used to put in, but still. So that's the main thing. 80-20 principle, I think it's a beautiful principle. Already, so I just don't want to spend a lot of time here. The video is already, I guess, somewhere around 13 to 14 minutes long, and my goal is accomplished of speaking for almost 14 to 15 minutes. 15 minutes to be exact. I have included 15 minutes to be specific in this particular habit of mine in the habit tracker, but I think I'm good to go. It's almost 15 minutes now, and other than this also, I'll be speaking in English. Like I said, I generally speak in English, whenever it is possible, and I think it is almost always possible, especially when I'm speaking with myself. Of course, outside when I go, that definitely, you can't speak in English with everybody, because I don't live in a English speaking country, right? So if you are going to the market, or if you have to speak with your neighbor or anybody, although I don't speak with my neighbors, but still, if you have to speak with anybody else, or in your family also, nobody in my family speaks English, right? We speak Hindi only. So, then of course you will have to speak in Hindi only. But otherwise, other than that, when I was speaking with myself, or whenever I'm thinking about any damn thing, so most of the times I just speak in English only. And whenever I'm speaking with customer service and stuff, So I try to click on that English language button only, so that I get to speak with a person who can speak English, so that in that way also I practice my spoken English. Alright, so done with this video. If you guys really want to speak English with me and want to have a conversation and want to practice your own spoken English also, I am also practicing my spoken English. There was a time when my English was absolutely zero. Yes, it was not even pathetic, because pathetic is also something which has something at least to talk about, where some goodness is still there. It is pathetic, it is worse than its counterparts, or whichever thing we are comparing with. But my English was absolutely zero. So I have learned some things, I have practiced in a particular way, and these all things collectively have contributed to some sort of improvement to my spoken English, the kind of English whatever I'm speaking right now. If you want to have a conversation, links are in the description and in the pinned comment of this video. I would definitely enjoy and love to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.